So I'm a big fan of filmmaking, and I was just talking to Neel about this. This is incredible. The sequence with Bare Necessities, you were actually in the water.
I was in the water, yeah.
Because you were splashing him?
I was splashing him because, the trick with Neel is incredibly charismatic. I saw it on the tape. He wasn't that experienced as an actor. He was a little kid. He was 9, I think, when he auditioned. And it was from seeing a flyer. So, it wasn't like you were getting a seasoned pro, but you were getting somebody who had this incredible watchability. But he was, at the time we worked together, he was 10, 11 years old, and he was working for 9 months. So the trick was always to keep him engaged and make sure that you kept that fire going and get the wheels turning. And so sometimes, like with Bare Necessities, I would actually jump in the pool and be his eye line. And if you notice in the movie, he gets squirted with water. That was never planned. I had a little hose hidden under the water, and when he was singing, I squirted him in the chest from about where Baloo's mouth would be, so I knew we could animate it. And if you notice, he gets surprised, and then he laughs, and he starts splashing me, and I would splash him from where I knew the paws would be. And so that's why it's such a fun, interactive scene, and probably my favorite moment of the movie is just that playfulness.
When you have a sequence, though, where he's literally interacting with the fur of Lupita Nyong'o's character, what is he touching in real life?
We had a few different things that were used as reference. There was a puppet, a sculpted foam head. There was a puppeted head. There was a blue padded head that would have some give. And ultimately, MPC, the vendor that did that effect, had to have his fingers interact with digital fur. So that's one of those shots that seem kind of simple, kind of flows right by. But that's a shot you couldn't have done 5 years ago. It's probably the most technically difficult shot of the whole film.
Now, the 3D in this film, I was telling you, I think it's the best I've seen since Hugo. Scorsese's Hugo was like...
Thanks. And Rob Legato, our visual effects supervisor, did that film in addition to this, and to Avatar. Right. So he's a real 3D guru.
That's what I want to ask you, because Bill Pope's a brilliant cinematographer.
He's
and his cinematography mixed with your direction and John Debney's score is amazing.
Thank you.
But getting that depth, though, what is the art to shooting 3D correctly? Because there were moments where I felt like I could put my finger and reach into the screen and grab the screen.
It's really, I've never done it before. So to me, it was a challenge. And there are some films like Avatar where I loved it, But there's sometimes when it doesn't feel like it's adding that much. And the trick we used was to actually go back to the techniques that Disney used with multiplane, which was the 3D of its time. It's when you would have shifting planes in the foreground and background to add parallax and perspective. And so we designed the shots looking at movies like Pinocchio and Bambi to see how they would slide the camera and slowly reinforce the perspective so that you felt that you're always getting a rich 3D experience. John Debney grew up on the lot. His dad hit the clapperboard on Snow White.
I did not know that.
Oh, he grew up there, and he hung out with the Sherman Brothers when he was little. So this was his magnum opus, I think.
Yeah, well, he did amazing.
He breathed and lived, and he was weaned on Disney.
And I'm wondering how they did the scene when you're on top of Bill Murray's character during the Bare Necessities. What are you really on as that's happening? How did they film that?
Yes, so that was actually a very fun scene because I'm in a water tank, and it's the realest scene I did because it was real water. And so I'm on a lump of there's a lump of styrofoam with a brown carpet on top. And I'm just laying on that, and then Jon Favreau gets into the pool, and he's the head. The director, he's the head of that big lump, and he's like splashing me and hosing me with water, and it's so much fun, and it was a lot, it was amazing.
That's what I was trying to figure out, was who was splashing you, because if the character's digital, there had to be someone there. That's incredible.
And it was John.
And now, who's singing in that moment with you? Is it Bill's voice, or is John singing it for you?
John put a playback in my ear of Bill Murray singing while I was singing the Bare Necessities.
The sequences when you're literally walking on branches, and I've seen some of the B-roll footage where the set looks blue screen, but you're walking on things. How do they make it seem like you could almost fall off? Is the blue area thin as a branch?
Well, it looks like that. Thank you, because that was acting part.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm always doing stunts, they always want me to keep my hands up and go like this. So it looks like it's so thin. They obviously thin it a little bit so it looks scary. And they make it look like I'm about to fall off when I raise my hands up, and I'm like, whoa, oh my God, I'm about to fall. But if I'm just you can realize sometimes if I'm just going up and down and I'm not moving my hands, I know what I'm doing. But sometimes if I'm against Shere Khan, I'm like, whoa, and it's I just act like I'm falling, but I'm not really, because it's not that hard to go. Like I'm like 2 inches off the ground, so it's not that hard.
You
but
have
it
to
looks
act like you're high up.
Yeah.
That's cool. What grade are you in, by the way?
I'm in 7th grade.
So how does this work now? So this movie's coming out. Do you still go to normal school, or are you are you just going to classes like a normal person?
Yeah, I am. And my friends treat me like a normal kid still, which is good. And they still ask like if I want to go to the park or something. And that's it. It's just a normal school.
Or did they just give you your schooling through set? Did the teacher come to set with you?
Yeah, so there's a teacher on set waiting for me to be done filming so we can do some school. No, like whenever there's a little time between the shots, she would just be like, "Okay, school," and we need to get maximum of 4 hours, but like you have to do 3 hours, and minimum's like 1 or 2 hours, I think.
Did you learn anything about yourself as a person after you finished playing him?
Not really, because we're so similar. So like, there's not really hard. Like anything he was doing, I already did. Like we were both like, "Oh hey, I do that too, Mowgli." Like we're both so similar. So there was nothing I learned from him.